47 years of building an air force, gone in 24 hours. Iran spent nearly half a century assembling what it hoped would be a credible aerial defense force. Today, that force no longer exists. Half of Iran's 400 aircraft have been destroyed. The rest sit grounded, unable to fly. Not a single Iranian pilot has attempted a sortie. Not one manned aircraft has left the ground since operations began. This isn't just air superiority. This is complete aerial annihilation. The footage, the satellite imagery, and the tactical analysis all tell the same story. The United States achieved what military strategists call total air dominance in under 24 hours. Here's the complete breakdown of how it happened.
U.S. Central Command released footage that shows exactly what's happening across Iran's air bases. Iranian jets sitting on tarmacs destroyed in seconds. Video after video shows the same pattern: aircraft obliterated before pilots can even reach them. Max Afterburner's analysis of the strikes reveals the systematic nature of the campaign. They've completely dismantled Iran's air force, hitting bases like Tabriz. F-4 Phantoms, Su-22 attack aircraft, F-14 Tomcats, F-5 Tigers, and drone sites are being vaporized before anything can turn a wheel. Israel's Air Force confirmed destroying an Iranian F-4 and F-5 at Tabriz Air Base as both aircraft prepared for takeoff. Even pilots willing to attempt what amounts to a suicide mission never got airborne. But the strikes went beyond aircraft. Satellite imagery shows destroyed storage bunkers at Konarak Base, shattered radar systems at Zahedan. The US and Israel didn't just target planes, they systematically dismantled the entire support infrastructure that enables air operations. These weren't random strikes. This was coordinated elimination of Iranian air power before it could even respond. Notice the aircraft being destroyed: F-4 Phantoms, F-14 Tomcats, F-5 Tigers. These are the best Iran has, decades-old platforms that would be considered museum pieces by modern standards, and they're being systematically erased from existence. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, confirmed what the footage already showed. The U.S. strikes have resulted in the establishment of local air superiority. This air superiority will not only enhance the protection of our forces, but also allow them to continue the work over Iran. That statement is massive. Complete air superiority means the U.S. can operate with near impunity over Iranian territory. To achieve this, the U.S. had to accomplish two things: destroy Iranian aircraft and eliminate air defenses. Both objectives were completed in the opening 24 hours. The effectiveness is staggering. Not a single Iranian pilot has attempted a manned sortie during the 4-day conflict. Any pilot trying to take off now faces certain elimination given the age of their aircraft and America's total air dominance. As Afterburner explains, Iranian fighter pilots know that it's suicidal to go up against an F-15 Strike Eagle, F-16, F-18, or F-35. The numbers tell the story. Iran's fleet of approximately 400 aircraft has been reduced to about 200 in 24 hours. Half the force eliminated before a single airframe could respond. And the U.S. likely prioritized the most capable aircraft first, leaving Iran with nothing but poorly maintained platforms built decades ago. This is what aerial domination looks like in modern warfare. But how did the U.S. achieve this so quickly? The answer reveals sophisticated planning that began well before the first bomb dropped. Business Insider reports that the U.S. and Israel didn't simply launch missiles and hope for the best. They executed a multi-layered strategy that crippled Iran before kinetic operations even started. General Kane revealed the approach.
The campaign began with layering non-kinetic effects, disrupting, degrading, and blinding Iran's ability to see, communicate, and respond. Translation: cyber attacks and space-based operations hit Iran hours before the first fighter jet took off toward Tehran. These initial non-kinetic strikes targeted everything from command and control facilities to ballistic missile sites and intelligence infrastructure. The operation was designed to daze and confuse them. It worked perfectly. Before Iran understood what was happening, half its airframes were destroyed. Air defenses that should have protected them completely failed to down even a single American or Israeli aircraft. Secretary of State Marco Rubio described the approach as going proactively in a defensive way with the initial strikes. Then he added a warning that should terrify Tehran. The hardest hits are yet to come from the U.S. military. For a regime sifting through the wreckage of destroyed fighter jets, the prospect of worse strikes while basically defenseless is catastrophic. So how did Iran's carefully constructed defenses fail so completely?
There's no way to sugarcoat this for Iran. The entire air defense network utterly failed. President Trump declared it plainly. Iran's air defenses are gone, along with its Navy, Air Force, and most of its leadership structure. We've had a very powerful impact. Virtually everything they had has been knocked out now. Their missile count is going down. General Kane emphasized that Iran's air defenses have been degraded to the point where American pilots fly with near impunity over Iranian territory. We're seeing this confidence reflected in aircraft selection. Asia Times reports the U.S. now sends B-1 Lancer bombers into Iran, rather than the B-2 Spirit bombers used earlier. This indicates a high level of confidence that Iran's long-range surface-to-air missile systems are no longer a primary threat to non-stealth aircraft in certain corridors. The U.S. and Israel are now focused on destroying transporter erector launchers to eliminate remaining air defense capabilities. Weaker air defenses create more opportunities for American bombers and fighters to operate freely, which will inevitably lead to more Iranian aircraft losses beyond the devastating first 24 hours. But how did these defenses fail so catastrophically in the first place? Multiple factors combined to create complete failure. First, the non-kinetic campaign we mentioned earlier took many air defense systems offline before they could respond. But Army technology reveals additional reasons for the collapse. The U.S. and Israel deployed aggressive electromagnetic spectrum operations that shut down Iranian air defense radars. Systems couldn't see incoming aircraft and projectiles. This was combined with divided kinetic responsibilities. The U.S. handled strikes against air defenses, control centers, and military infrastructure. Israel targeted ballistic missile launchers and leadership. The task was easier because the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps retained about 100 air defense systems, but likely lacked sufficient missiles to use them effectively. Then there's the quality problem. Iran deployed copycat systems throughout its network. Yes, they have some Russian and Chinese air defense platforms, but most are reverse-engineered versions, Army technology reports. Iran's Bavar 373 is a cheap knockoff of the S-300 systems Ukraine has been destroying in massive quantities against Russia. The Yazara is reverse-engineered from China's HQ-7. Same story with the Zobin system. Iran tried to counter two of the world's strongest air forces with a network filled with inferior copies of other countries' technology. The result was predictable. Right now, the U.S. has achieved air superiority due to these defense failures. America's goal is maintaining that superiority, though Afterburner notes certain surface-to-air missile systems are still alive and well. They'll pop out from a hiding spot and launch a missile. The U.S. still needs caution. Iran's air defenses are crippled but not completely eliminated.
Still, they were useless enough to fail completely during America's 24-hour shock and awe campaign. Which brings us to the second reason this happened. The simple fact: Iran's Air Force was never capable of competing with what the US brought from the start. This was Mike Tyson delivering a haymaker to an unarmed elderly man. Aerotime provides the details of Iran's hopeless position from the beginning. The very best fighter jets included 65 F-4s, 41 F-14s, 35 F-5s, and an assortment of Soviet-era Russian platforms like the Su-24 and MiG-29. Add a few tankers and special mission aircraft, and that's everything Iran had. The country has no airborne early warning fleet. Combined with air defense failure, this meant the Tyson haymaker was actually a sucker punch to the back of Iran's head. An ancient air force is bad enough against the US, but an old air force that isn't even maintained properly is catastrophic. There are roughly 400 or so aging aircraft that have been crippled by sanctions and lack modern capabilities, Afterburner says. At least there were 400 aircraft. There are far fewer now. Even if Iranian pilots were foolish enough to attempt flying these old jets, they couldn't trust the airframes to fulfill their limited capabilities. There were plenty of warnings this would happen. Back in May 2022, Iran International reported that sanctions were behind a series of Air Force accidents resulting in several deaths. 2 pilots died at Dezful Air Base in June 2021 due to sudden ejector seat glitches before their aircraft even left the ground. Retired Brigadier General Qumars Haidarian, who trained in the US and flew for Iran both before and after the 1979 revolution, explained why. Accidents happen everywhere, but if the equipment is complete, it is natural that the number of accidents will be fewer. By June 2025, the national interest called Iran's Air Force a mess, noting Iran went to extreme lengths to keep a handful of ancient aircraft airworthy, but even those were never going to be effective against a modern air force. Sanctions created a 1-2 punch, an old fleet combined with complete inability to maintain most aircraft in that fleet. The fight was always going to favor America. Iranian pilots aren't flying because they don't have the equipment. They didn't have it before the bombs fell, and they'll never have it now that viable airframes are destroyed. Even before US strikes, the national interest claimed only 50 to 60% of Iran's 400 airframes were flyable. The rest were cannibalized for spare parts that sanctions prevent Iran from buying elsewhere. This was an unfair fight from the start, but that's what happens when you have a fleet composed predominantly of old Western airframes and a regime that hates the West. Talk about biting the hand that feeds.
With its air force practically gone, Iran has only a handful of aerial options left. Almost all are unmanned. Iran hasn't just lost millions of dollars in airframes, it also faces the sunk cost of training pilots who will never fly again. Iran's drones are doing more than its airframes ever did. Al Jazeera reports hundreds of Iranian drones have targeted bases and military nodes in several Gulf countries, including Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. Russian news agency TASS quoted unmanned aircraft expert Dmitry Kuzyakin, claiming, "Economy is the main weapon of any war, and here it is on Iran's side. Iran can wage war with drones literally indefinitely." That's a stretch. True, the US spends more than the cost of building a drone on air defense missiles for Patriot systems, but combining existing sanctions with the US and Israel destroying Iranian drone production facilities with expensive missiles suggests Iran's drone-reliant strategy has a shorter shelf life than the Russian analyst claims. And the US has its own drones. If Iran's regime somehow survives this blitz, America can easily rush one-way and interceptor drones into manufacturing for tit-for-tat engagement if needed. Time is running out on Iran's defense. All that's left are drones and depleting missile supplies.
The Air Force, along with every other facet of the asymmetrical strategy intended against the US, lies in ruins. Iran still tries to maintain some threat. As fighter jets burned on tarmacs, Iran vowed to strike European countries if they dared join the war on America's side. But the US and likely Europe know these threats ring increasingly hollow. Iran is in no position to make them. If Trump is to be believed, whatever off-ramps the US might have offered days ago have been withdrawn. Quote, "They want to talk," Trump claimed of Iran. "I said, too late," unquote. However, Trump is scheduled to speak with remnants of Iran's regime on March 8th, purportedly at the regime's request. A white flag will likely be present. Whether the US accepts Iran's surrender and whether Iran's regime is collectively stubborn enough to believe it can still bargain for anything will only be seen this weekend. Meanwhile, Iran will continue making threats, but with what force? Certainly not an air force. With half its fleet gone and the rest unlikely to be flyable, Iran has surrendered its skies to the US and Israel. All it took was 24 hours. 47 years of building an air force, 24 hours to destroy it. Iran can't even console itself with the thought that advanced weaponry defeated its jets. Iran's fighters never got off the ground. The US achieved complete air dominance through superior planning, overwhelming technology, and systematic execution. For Iran, the skies are now controlled by its adversaries, and there's nothing left to change that reality.